7 government scientists at the Winnipeg lab collaborated with Chinese scientists on some of the world's most dangerous viruses and pathogens. These scientists co-authored at least 6 studies from 2016 to 2020. We know that some of that research was paid for by China's government, and that some of these scientists were part of China's military. We know that Dr. Chu and Dr. Cheng at the Winnipeg lab shipped materials to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is believed to be one of 2 places where the virus that created this global pandemic might have emerged. We know that 2 of the senior leaders at the Winnipeg lab suddenly quit last year in the middle of the pandemic. Dr. Matthew Gilmore, who was scientific director general of the lab, suddenly quit a year ago on May 15th, just 8 weeks into the global pandemic. And Ms. Tina Nemianovsky, who was president of the Public Health Agency of Canada, suddenly quit on Friday, September 18th, while Parliament was prorogued. And so there are a lot of unanswered questions, but slowly we are getting some more information, and we'll continue to fight to get even more information to get to the bottom of this matter. The government's trying to cover this up. I think they're very worried about what we're finding out. I think they made big mistakes and failed to protect national security. They failed to protect the safety and security of Canadians. For example, they allowed a Chinese military scientist from the People's Liberation Army, Fei Yu-yen, access to work in the government's Winnipeg lab. It's unbelievable that the Trudeau government allowed a military scientist from the PLA access to work in the government's secret lab, a lab where the world's most dangerous research is taking place. And so I think they're worried. I think they realize that they have been caught failing to protect national security, failing to protect the safety and security of Canadians. President Biden indicated last month in May that there are 2 likely theories about how this whole global pandemic began. One theory is that a human being came in contact with an infected animal in the wild and caught the virus, and it spread from there on. The other likely theory is that there was a laboratory accident at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Both of those theories are the 2 most likeliest theories as to where this global pandemic began. And so President Biden has ordered U.S. intelligence agencies to report to him in 90 days at the end of August about which of the 2 theories is most likely. The Canadian government has indicated that they support this investigation. And it's such an important investigation because to date, over the last year and a half, we've all been living through these restrictions and lockdowns, all 7 billion people on this planet. And over 3 million people around the world have lost their lives to this pandemic, and countless others have been infected and affected by the pandemic. So if we are going to stop the next global pandemic from taking place, it is vitally important that we figure out where this pandemic began so we can take measures to prevent this from happening again. I believe that we have to do 2 things at once. We have to hold the communist leadership in Beijing responsible for their threats against our citizens, our economy, and our values. And at the same time, we have to counter anti-Asian racism and discrimination. We have to do both, because if we don't do both, we either neglect our fellow Canadians of Asian descent who are being targeted for this discrimination, or we don't hold China, the communist leadership in China, accountable for their threats against Canadians and against this country. So we have to do both, and that's exactly what we are doing in Ottawa.